सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति हरिः ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। They are so called because they believe in the authority of the Vedas. Nastika, they are so called because they do not believe in the authority of the Vedas. Astika darshanas are 6: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa is Vedanta. Vedanta also is not one. So we have Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, Veda Veda, Achintya. So then Advaita is also not one. Advaita also is of Shankara Advaita, Vallabha Advaita, Bhartrihari Advaita, Shiva Advaita of Kashmir Shaivism. In this way, you can see that there are Advaita also not one. Shabda Advaita of Bhartrihari. Then you go to Nastika, Charvaka, Jaina and Bauddha. So many systems of philosophy. If you want to again classify them from a different angle, then we all classified all of them under 3 groups. Some may be called materialist, some may be called realist, some may be called. Then we also discussed that why there are different systems and how to understand them. And we devised a method that each and every system of philosophy is based on a particular world view. And unless we understand that world view, we cannot understand that philosophical system. And we could see what was the problem. Every philosopher has to address the problem that what is the source of the plurality. Plurality is our experience. Nobody can deny. Whether he is a materialist or idealist or realist, nobody can deny that the world is plural. We want to know what is the source of this plurality. Broadly, 2 answers came. Source is one, source is many. Okay. Now we put this into a pattern, then we found there can be 4 possibilities, and these 4 should be treated as the basic world views of those philosophers, on the basis of which each and every system has been built. We could see that how to distinguish between Shankara and Vallabha. Both are Advaitins. Shankara also is Advaitin, Vallabha is also Advaitin. They are different because their worldview is different. Their worldview is another term for presupposition. We presuppose. This view we presuppose. And this view has been built over a period of time by a philosopher through his own experience and also through exposure to the cultural heritage. In our case, the cultural heritage is the Vedas. So, for the Astika darshanas, the cultural heritage will be the Vedas. For the Nastika Darsanas, they have their agamas, Jaina agama, Buddha agama. As we have Veda, they also have agama. So they are also exposed to that literature, and they have experience. Huh? So all this taken together, they form the worldview. And they first get convinced that yes, this is the reality. This is the truth. And on the basis of that, I can build my philosophy. So we discussed all this. At the end, I pointed out to you that this can be reshuffled into three groups: materialist philosophy, Charvaka, and idealist philosophers, Shankara and Buddhists, and the realist, the remaining. What is the easy way to understand realism and idealism? One who believes in the reality of the world exists. It is as much real as its source, reality. Whosoever, if this is the case, then these systems are real. This is realism. So in realism, the philosopher believes that the world is real. And also there is no degrees of reality. There is no degree of reality. By degree of reality, what I mean, something is real for the time being, will become unreal at the end. This is not tolerated in realism. It is either true or it is false. Either it is real or it is unreal. There cannot be a stage real for the time, unreal for the time being, and real at the end. So, Shankara, what he did? Shankara created this category. There is something called reality, ultimate reality. Is it fine with you? Ultimate reality, the Nirguna Brahma. Nirguna Brahma. For Shankara. Brahma Satyam. This Brahma is Satya. This is the only Brahma which is Satya. And this is the only reality for him. The rest is unreal. But how to deny experience of plurality? Plurality we are living. Shankara also is living in plurality. We all are living in plurality. Water is not milk, milk is not tea, tea is not coffee. These are all different. So, in the Vyavahara Dasa, in the transactional world, so what he did, there is a reality of transactional world, Vyavaharika Jagat. This he accepted. This is called Vyavaharika Satta. This is transactional reality. Plural. So this is plural. But unless I accept it to be true for the time being, I cannot explain my behavior with the world. This is the world in which we are living. This is our Vyavaharika Jagat. We are in this Vyavaharika Vishwa, transactional world. Transactional world is plural for everybody. Nobody can deny. And when plural, then there is a Bheda. There is Bheda. If there is a Bheda, then either you say the Bheda is real, or you say Bheda is unreal. Dvai gati, only two. Either you say that the difference is real, or you say the difference is unreal. You cannot say difference is real because you have already accepted the real is only. So this cannot be accepted as real. But unless I accept it to be real, I cannot explain my behavior in the world. Because in the world I behave only with plurality, only with Bheda and not with Abheda. So, to adjust with this problem, Shankara has to create a make-believe kind of reality. This reality is like cinema, the realms. You have to, if you do not believe, then you will not enjoy. No? Chitra Turaganya. Turaga is horse. Chitra, so horse in a picture. Now, if you want to enjoy, you have to, for the time being, you have to believe it. Though you cannot, you are not able to ride on it. So, in the Vyavaharika Jagat, being plural, Shankara accepts this for the time being, just to explain our behavior, our Vyavahara. Therefore, this Jagat is called Vyavaharika Jagat, transactional world. We do transaction with this world, and we do transactions with different things. So there is Bheda. So Jiva is here. And he says, Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. Here also, reality is only this. Because there is identity between this and this. This and this, they are identical. These are, other than this, is all construction of your mind, mental constructions. And therefore, ultimately, they are not real. So, a degree of reality is created for this, you see. So, ultimate reality, transactional reality, two realities you got degree. And further he said that this plurality is superimposed on this singularity. Construction, no? You construct. You construct. He has a mechanism. He has to create Ishvara. In Shankara, Brahma is not Ishvara. Nirguna Brahma is not Ishvara. Ishvara is required to explain plurality. Not only, and then how can he do? No material available. Then let this Brahma, Nirguna Brahma, now have something called Maya. Then Maya Vishishta Brahma now. This is construction, source of unreality, mithyatva is here now, you see. This is the source. Otherwise, Brahma is nirguna. That is the only real. But it is not, we are not experiencing that here. You are experiencing all Veda, no Veda. So, where from it came? To explain that this Brahma, one is nirguna, ultimate real, that real. And to explain the plurality, he has to create Ishvara. And now this Ishvara, how is this Ishvara? In which the Maya is adhyastha. And then the whole Srishti is explained in terms of the plurality. The entire plurality is explained in terms of that. And this is how he explains the plurality. But plurality is all adhyastha in the Brahman. So, karyat karananumanam. We see the plurality and there must be some source of the plurality. We go on, backward. Go on rolling. Rolling. And suppose the Maya now, the first evolute of Maya, first construction of Maya, he has given. Tasmat atmanah akasha sambhutah. Then he gives them. Akashad vayu, ragni, rapaha, advya prithvi, and all that. Srishti krama is it. But Maya. Okay. So, rolling, you are rolling, and then ultimately you came to the first, from that side, from the all get evolutions were there, and from that side you are now coming, pralaya, you are starting, dissolving, and you came to the first, from this side, the first product of Maya. When that you remove, only to explain that first evolution, you needed Maya. Now the first evolution itself is not there. Maya will disappear. Then what will remain? There is no Ishvara. There is no Ishvara now. It is only Shuddha Brahma. This is the method. So, therefore he said this world is a construction. Plurality is a construction. Transactional world is plural, believe, but these are all construction. So there is a degree of reality. This is a reality for some time. Now, example for giving to that the examples are taken like that. We mistake. I request, Madam, please prepare a cup of tea for me. Sir, do you take sugar? Yes. Little, but they put some. And in the kitchen she has salt, sugar, and all that. Nowadays both look alike. So she put some, she was very kind. So immediately after tasting I could realize that that was not sugar. So sugar, jnana, gave an idea of sugar. But when I say it is not sugar, then that disappeared. Then it is salt. So as the knowledge of salt removes the knowledge of sugar, as the knowledge of sarpa, as the both also possible, huh? As you can mistake sarpa to be the rope to be sarpa, you can also mistake sarpa to be rope. At night, let us say, you want to bind something with something. Is there anything? Or then you find that something is there. And rope, oh my God. Then what happens? Oh, this is not so. So, the point to be noted here is, Shankara is now analyzing this. Why did I start running from that No, no, this is not Rajju. This is Sarpa. Had I not known it to be Sarpa, had I run? No. So I have to believe that it is there. Make believe. No, you see. So to that extent, as long as the jnana of Sarpa existed, so long the Sarpa existed. But the Sarpa vanished. When? When another jnana arose, and then I said, Nayam Sarpaha. So Badhaka jnana came later, and then Badhita, earlier jnana is gone. In the same way, so you have, this is a Paramarthika Sat, Paramarthika Satta, Vyavaharika Satta, and Pratibhasika Satta. These degrees of reality Shankara creates. Pratibhasika. Pratibhasika. Pratibhasa. Appearance. So as long as it appeared, it existed. As long as the silver appeared in the conch shell, the silver existed. Had it not been the case, I would not have gone to collect it. The very fact that I go to collect after seeing it is a silver, this behavior of mine cannot be explained unless I assume that the silver exists. But silver will not exist forever. Silver is going to vanish. The moment I am going to know it is not silver, it is a conch shell. But till that knowledge of silver continued, the silver existed or not. You cannot deny this. It existed. It existed because without that I cannot explain my behavior. What is the function of jnana? Jnana presents the content before me. Vishaya prakashaka. Jnana is Vishaya prakashaka. It presents, you see, something is there. X is there. But unless X becomes the content of the knowledge, I do not know that it exists. It may be somewhere. But unless I know it, knowing means making the object of my knowledge. Vishayi karanam. So when otherwise it is vastu. As long as it is not the jnana vishaya, it is simply vastu. Vastu. It will become content of my cognition. This is jnana. Then I know that it exists. So, what is the function of jnana? Jnana reveals its content. Prakashayati. It reveals. Vishayam prakashayati. And after that, if I have a desire to go, take it, I go. If I have a desire to get rid of it, then I run away. If I see a sarpa, I run away. Sarpa is prakashita by jnana. But if I see silver, I go. So both the behavior. Human beings perform only three kinds of behavior. Okay? There is a pravritti, I go forward. There is a nivritti, I withdraw. Withdrawal is also a behavior. And also a third kind of a behavior, and that is called audasinya, udasinata. So only these three types of behavior human beings perform. But any of these three behaviors is possible only when the jnana presents its content before me. So, all this behavior is to be prompted by knowledge. Knowledge of something. At that something, with that I am going to behave. Either I am going to have it if I need it, or I want to get rid of it, I may run away from it, or I may remain indifferent about it. I may remain udasina, indifferent about it. Only the three kinds of behavior human beings perform. But all the three types of behavior are prompted by jnana. So what is the function of jnana? Jnanam vishayam prakashayati. It simply presents. So, as long as I saw the silver, I have to believe, and because my behavior is immediately prompted by that jnana. So jnana presented silver, I am in need of silver, so I go to collect it. So pravritti now. This pravritti cannot be explained unless we accept that the silver exists there. But this silver that exists there, which was revealed by the knowledge of silver, is not ultimately real. That is verified in our Vyavaharika Jagat. We go there and see that it is Shukti, it is not silver. So, then immediately another knowledge comes and we deny that this is not silver. So, earlier it was silver, now I say it is not silver. So, during that period, as long as the knowledge of silver continued, the silver did continue to exist. This satta of silver is called pratibhasika satta. So, jnana kala matra sattaka. Only during that time, as long as the jnana continues, it exists. The moment it is sublated, then that vanishes. So, the plurality will continue to be with me till the first evolute of Maya. The moment that is going to vanish by negating that, and that was the reason for postulating Maya. So, Karya itself is not there. Why should Karana be there? Therefore, Karya nashat, Karana nasha. Completely gone. So, what remains is only the Brahman. Tadeko vasishtaha shiva kevaloham. That is the idea of Shankara. So, Shankara therefore has a concept of degrees of reality. And he requires it to explain our behavior with the world. Therefore, Paramarthika Satta is only with this Brahman. So, ultimate reality is the Nirguna Brahman, and all the plurality that we form, these all are our constructions, and they are going to vanish. Sri Harsha, in his Khandana Khanda Khadya, has a question has been raised that how to make a distinction between a sarpa here, let us say, and a sarpa here at this level. Here sarpa pushes you to the hospital. You have to go to the doctor. But here you are not required to go. What is the difference between the two sarpa? The sarpa here and the sarpa here. Sri Harsha says it is only duration of time. Duration of time. It has taken maybe 1 minute. It may take births and births and births also. Nobody knows. But they all will meet the same fate. So this reality is also not ultimate reality. So Vyavaharika Jagat reality, the plurality is not reality. It is going to vanish. I have told you the method. You follow the method and you will realize that it is going to vanish. I do not have any ready-made chemical to provide you so that next moment it will vanish. This vanishing should happen to you only. It is not somebody else is going to vanish that. So wait and keep on doing good work. Keep on cleaning your mind. Chitta Shuddhi, keep on doing. Karvanneveha kurvanneveha karmani jizvishe shatam samaha. So remain engaged in good works that will keep on cleaning your mind and will not be addicted to any other diversified activities which will keep you binding from birth to birth. And a day will come, you will go out of the cycle of birth, and what will remain, you are not going to achieve. What will remain is the Brahman, what you are. It is not that it is going to be an object of my knowledge. So this Nirguna Brahma cannot be object of knowledge. This is not Jnana Vishaya, because it is Jnana Swarupa. It also does not have Vishaya. It also cannot be Jnana Vishaya, an object of any other knowledge, and it is itself being knowledge, but it is knowledge without a content. So knowledge without a content, nirvishayaka jnana. There is no Vishaya of this jnana. Jnana Swarupa is this Nirguna Brahma, and that kind of idealism you find in Shankara. This is an idealism. So, simple way to understand realism and idealism contrast is that in realism, the world has to be ultimately real. There is no degree of reality. In realism, for example, Nyaya Vaisheshika, the Jagat is as much real as Ishvara. One should not mistake has happened, the terms like anitya. Anitya is not unreal. Nitya, anitya, this kind of a pairs are different kinds of pairs. Simply because something is nitya, a ghata is anitya, does not mean that it is unreal or it is mithya. Now, how did we understand this? We understood only on the basis of presupposition. Yesterday we discussed. So, for idealism of Shankara, what is presupposition? It is plus one minus many. So, many is construction. Now, you can see I have now explained to you. Many is a construction to explain, make it understandable. This method was adopted by Shankara, but this is not the ultimately real. So Jagat is not ultimately real. So a philosophy that believes that the Jagat is real is realism, and a philosophy that does not believe that the Jagat is real is idealism. Simple dichotomy, let us follow this. Okay? So for Shankara, Jagat is not real. Jagat mithya. Brahma satyam, Jagan mithya. Mithya also is a technical term. Is also a technical term. You will, perhaps you know better than me. It is all Dvaita, Dvaita Nagari. It's full of Dvaitin, full of Advaitins. So every day they discuss all this. So Mithya is neither Sat nor Asat, Sadasat Vilakshana. A third category of reality called Vyavaharik kind of reality. Jayanta Bhatta, if you want to enjoy the criticism of this, you read Nyaya Manjari of Jayanta Bhatta. A beautiful discourse on a refutation of concept of mithya. Okay. But it's all philosophical. Enjoy. Anubhava. Anubhava is jnana. We are using in a synonymous way. That anubhava can be true, anubhava can be false. So yathartha anubhava, we are going to read the text. These terms are going to come in the text. From tomorrow we are going to read the text. We are preparing something to make us adhikari to understand the text. Okay. So some preliminary things, preparations I am making for you. So I hope this distinction is clear. Now you make little more clarity now by bringing Buddhism, where Buddhists also are idealists. So now in the idealism of Buddhist variety, idealism of Shankara, you now compare and contrast. And then we go ahead. Now, for the Buddhists, the whole world is put into, whole universe put into two categories. The world consists of Swalakshana and Samanya Lakshana. The entire world is only Swalakshana and Samanya Lakshana. Now, what is Swalakshana and what is Samanya Lakshana? The easiest way that I can suggest is this. Now you see there is a point, okay? And if I go on adding points, then it will become a line, is that so? And line. Swalakshana is point. Samanya Lakshana is line. So you can read this, you can see this. So Swalakshana, let us compare, it's just like a point. This Eka Kshana Vasthai. So now let us try to understand a little of Buddhism. For Buddhism, the whole universe is put into two sets of entities. One is called Swalakshana, the other is called Samanya Lakshana. Now to catch the idea, let us think that Swalakshana is a point. It is just a point. And it is momentary. It is not static. Its duration is only of one moment. Kshanika. Eka Kshana Vritti. Being in for only one moment of time. Swalakshana. And this is the only reality. Swalakshana alone is the reality. It is momentary without any attribute. It is not durable. It exists for a moment. Next moment it is different. So kshanika. So when I say next moment is different, then another point comes in. Third moment, another point, Swalakshana. And they start appearing as santana, a series. So if you arrange them one after the other without gap, okay, then it becomes a line. This is Samanya Lakshana. And then when it one after the other one, every moment getting produced, it keeps on producing. And then what it creates is called Samanya Lakshana. This one. Now you can see, they say the reality is Swalakshana. And Samanya Lakshana is unreal. But all our behavior is only with Samanya Lakshana and not with Swalakshana. Is it not coming very similar to Shankara? So all our transactional is only different forms made out of Swalakshana. It may be a circle, it may be a line, it may be anything. It is something like Alata Chakra. You know, in the Diwali, the children play crackers, you know, and they rotate. What you see? A circle you see. But is it real? That is Alata Chakra. So reality is what? Reality is Swalakshana, point. Point which cannot be described. Because for description I need some attributes. Description, whenever the question of description comes, you need attributes, dharma. Without dharma, you cannot describe anything. Any. Circle or any form. No, I am for explaining. I am helping you to understand the idea of Samanya Lakshana, which is made of Swalakshana. This is very easy to understand, no? So I said it is a line, but we do not deal only with line. So though I have not uttered other words, you have to understand this, that I am taking you to anything and everything with which you behave. Anything, everything you behave has an akara. And that akara is construction. As a line is a construction from points, so any akara is a construction from points. From point, you can create any akara. Right now. Regarding this? Oh yes.
So, but here,
I have said that you start with a point and you draw any picture. It is nothing but extension of that point, construction of that point.
that is Samanya Lakshana. In Swalakshana, you are equating that with Brahman of Shankara. Am I right?
I am not equating it.
Okay.
Okay. So have patience and listen to the whole thing. Then you may have some idea, no? We always say, it is the first line that I have started. And all questions of the world are with you now. This method is not accepted in our tradition. In our tradition, we complete the text And then gaps of understanding we fill. And then we take the commentaries, further gaps are filled. Commentary of commentary. This is a mode of a dialogue in our country. Commentaries are the mode of dialogue. So, madam, please wait for some more time. Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean, I'm not discouraging you, but you will, I will try my best to make you understand whatever capacity I have. So, you start with a point. Point is assumed in such a way that it is attributeless. It has no dharma. So, nirdharmaka, something. I am not equating, I am just trying to show a kind of a similarity, but you will also be able to discover the dissimilarity at the end. Up to this there is no problem. So, reality is only swalakshana. We do not behave with swalakshana. Our behavior is only with samanya lakshana. Samanya lakshana is a constructions from swalakshana. So, our behavior with this world is all false, unreal. The same thing is with Shankara. Up to this is okay. Our behavior is all illusion. But we have to accept it to explain that we are behaving with this, and therefore a make believe kind of reality called Vyavaharika Satta, Shankara has accepted. But this is not the ultimate reality. Reality is only this. And this is also this only. There is an identity between the two. Here also Swalakshana is alone real. Now you tell me the difference. So it keeps on changing. It is momentary. But here this is static. Sthira. Sthira padartha. Unchanging. There is no modification. There is no change. Vallabhacharya accepted change, you know. We say plus one plus many. The same Brahman became everything. But Shankara is not accepting it. He says that it is unchanging reality. But here is a changing reality. This also is nirdharmaka. This also is nirdharmaka. Attributeless, attributeless. Okay. So you cannot describe it by any attribute. This also cannot, it is not describable at all. Even by the term Brahma, you cannot describe it. This reality is such that it is beyond language. If it is beyond language, it has to be beyond mind. It has to be, it cannot be Jnana Vishaya. And yesterday I was trying to tell you that only that can be expressed, which is Jnana Vishaya. I was presenting the Nyaya position of communication theory. So, you cannot talk about Brahman. A very lucid, beautiful text on this discourse is recently published from Chinmaya International Foundation, Vedanta Sangraha of Rama Raya Kavi. Those who are interested in reading that, you can read. Vedanta Sangraha, Rama Raya Kavi. It is available in English translation also, that Balasubramaniam and Revati together translated into English. And Mani, are you ready with the CDs for that? You cannot get. We have not recorded, I think. Recorded, okay. This anyway, whether can minimize the disturbance and all that. Okay. So we have now a center of excellence for the study of Indian philosophical systems, created by our friend Mani in Tamil Nadu. Tirunelveli, near Tirunelveli, a big center has been created by him for the study of Indian philosophy. And the first program I taught this book, Vedanta Sangraha. So those who are interested may be in touch with him, and we can also meet there. Whenever you are free, you can come, but his facility available is only for 12 people, I think. Only 12 people can come together and stay there. That much facility is available at the time, for the time being. So that's a great service that he has done for the society. He needs applause. Actually, he needs applause. Yeah, yeah. It's a full-fledged institution now, and it's a beautiful, beautiful. You can visit. So it's a very lucid, simple Sanskrit. That cannot be an easier text than this on Advaita Vedanta, Shankara Vedanta. Beautifully written. Anybody can read that book. So there he has demonstrated that why you cannot talk about Brahman. Why? So you have to go back to the main question. Under which circumstances I can talk about something? Which is expressible through language. Which thing I can talk about and which I cannot? What should be the criterion for application of language? That was taken up, and he has answered them, these questions. So I recommend that you should read those. So this Brahman, you cannot describe, you cannot talk about, but without accepting such, according to Shankara, you cannot explain anything. So it is something like the scientists, I am told by my friend, physicist friends, that they have not seen electron, proton, but unless they posit that existence, they cannot explain the facts emerging out of them. But nobody has observed it yet. In the same way, though it is not observable, it cannot be Jnana Vishaya, but unless I posit this, I cannot explain so many things, and therefore it is necessary to posit that. This is the method from Karya to Karana. So the Karya cannot be explained without Karana, and therefore I have to posit Karana. So that is why, so it is Avang Manuso Gochara. That is why Upanishad tells you that it is beyond mind and beyond language. Now language, it is beyond language obviously, because then why it is beyond language implies that it is beyond mind also. Because unless something is within the reach of mind, I cannot talk about it. And since I cannot talk about it, it implies that it is also beyond mind. And you all know a very beautiful beautiful verse, very popular. Then how to talk about Brahman, which is not talkable. Ahobata taror mule. Ahobata chituriva vyakhyana. It beautifully describes the situation of Advaita. Is not so? That the young boy is a guru, he is sitting under the tree, and he is giving a discourse, and persons like me are sitting in front of him. Vriddhaha shishyaha gurur yuva. And there is a vyakhyana discourse. Gurostu maunam vyakhyana. There is a vyakhyana. So there is a vyakhyana, but maunam vyakhyana. But what is the outcome of a vyakhyana? You expect all your doubts will evaporate, no? So gurostu maunam vyakhyanam shishyaha chinna samshayaha. All doubts evaporated. So the guru did not open his mouth, but he gave a discourse, and the outcome of the discourse was achieved. All the doubts in the minds of the Shishya disciples disappeared. Exactly this is the position of Advaita. In reality, you cannot talk about it. So this reality is beyond language. Same is true with Swalakshana. Swalakshana also cannot be captured by language. Because then the question is that you have to ponder over under which circumstance language can capture something. And an easy method that I can tell you is this, as you have guessed it, that unless something which I am going to talk about reflects a structure of this kind, if anything you want to talk about has a structure of this kind, dharma and dharmi. Dharma is a property and the possessor of the property. Dharma is an attribute and the locus of that attribute. So I can describe the locus only in terms of attribute. So if something is real which is attribute-less, the minimum condition required for operation of language is not there. Minimum condition required for language is this. There has to be some attribute. Only in terms of those attributes I can describe the locus of the attribute. So through dharma I describe dharmi. Through property I describe the property possessor. Since there are no properties, both in Swalakshana and also Nirguna Brahma, neither Nirguna Brahma can be talked about, nor Swalakshana can be talked about. So we go hand in hand with Buddhists. Then what is the difference? The difference is clear. One is changing. Every moment it is changing. Swalakshana is every moment changing. It is not the same Swalakshana in the next moment. All different. And therefore, at the same time, attribute-less. So for attribute-less, I cannot talk about it, all right. But it is changing, and hence it cannot be equated with Shankara's Nirguna Brahman. Yes. For example, just please sit down. You say this is a pen. Why do you say this is not a chair? So there is some property which is found only here and not in the chair. Say functional property you take. I can write with this, I cannot write with the chair. Huh? In our terminology we say there is ground for application of a linguistic term. What is the ground? We call, in Sanskrit we call it pravritti nimitta. So when I use language, we have to identify a nimitta, and that nimitta, that ground, should be a dharma. That nimitta should be a dharma. Okay, this much is clear to you. So suppose if we have, I call it a pen, the structure of this is penness. Is penness found in the chair? Then what is found in the chair to call it a chair? Chairness. So this has chairness, this has penness, this has micness, okay? This has wallness, this has fanness. So this ness, when you say the ness, we are telling you this is dharma. And the locus of that is dharmi. So I describe this only with the help of this. So I describe this pen with the help of penness. Isn't it? Now since in swalakshana, which is a point, there is no attribute, so I cannot describe the locus of that. There is no question of dharma dharmi there at all. So I have accepted as a Buddhist a reality which has no such a structure. Buddhist has accepted a reality which has no such a structure, no dharma dharmi bhava. Shankara has accepted a reality which has no structure. There is no brahmatva, nothing. So brahmatva also is not there. Are you getting me? I hope this is what is called dharma. So through dharma I describe dharmi. This is the minimum requirement for operation of language. Unless this structure is present before you, language does not come to help. And since the reality as per your philosophy is such that it is nirguna, it has to have no scope for application of language, and such reality therefore is beyond language. Such reality is beyond mind. Naturally, to identify the dharma, I should have knowledge now. To identify dharma, I am going to use language, but before that what stage should be with me? I should identify the attribute. But since there are no attributes, I have no knowledge. I have no knowledge of dharma, and naturally therefore I cannot extend the application of language here. I hope it is okay. So this is so both the realities to a great extent are common, and therefore perhaps the pravada that Shankara is a prachanna bodha, but it cannot hold water ultimately because one is changing, the other one is unchanging. Yeah. Sir, still you are not coming with me still.
Sir,
Yeah.
while one can accept that there is a Shankara's position of an unchanging attributeless reality, for the Buddhists, if there is no attribute, what in their opinion, sir, is changing? The swalakshana.
Once we have taken a position that it cannot be described,
It cannot be described. But there has to be something that is changing also. So if you there is
that,
no
that can be inferred only because of the Samanya Lakshana.
So the Samanya Lakshana leads us to multiple
Infer
Swalakshanas.
that it is not only Swalakshana, but it is a line, which is false construction.
The line is false. And the Swalakshana is
real. But Swalakshana is real, because without Swalakshana, line cannot be created.
Yeah, the Samanya comes out of the Swalakshana. But the Swalakshana has no dharma. And
so I cannot refer to it.
But it is changing also.
It is changing because I have to infer the line. Line is not created without a change.
So Samanya is a continuity of change?
Define the way you like. They will be very happy if you give such terms to them. Yeah. They, I mean, scientists are very much encouraged by Buddhist position. This changing, every moment something is changing. This idea, vidyate, this kind of an idea is very much welcomed by them. But let us not go to that. I have only a purpose to show here that to a great extent you may think of comparing Buddhist position and the Shankara's position. So they may appear to be, so our worldly behavior is mithya, is illusory. There also it is illusory. To that extent it is true. Reality is attributeless. Here also it is attributeless. It cannot be talked about in language. Here also it cannot be talked about in language. But still one position is this, that one is unchanging and one is changing, and therefore these similarities will not continue to give you pleasure. Even cause and effect relationship is not accepted by them. That is another. There is another. You see, you are provoking me to go to tell me many things. So our program will remain somewhere then. It is another good, in idealism, this is idealism, okay? So now you know the idealism of Shankara and idealism of a Buddhist distinction. But in any idealism cannot tolerate language. Idealism, language is not tolerated. Explain the make-believe reality. So at only all relations will satisfy only at that level. Relation is not reality. Because if the relation is reality, now suppose if a relation is real, suppose, then the relator have to be real. If there is a relation between A and B, if this is the relation between A and B, then the A and B have to be real. If the relation is real, A and B are real. So, but there is no B. So, how can there be relation? So, Dharmakirti wrote a book, Sambandha Pariksha. He is on this. You see, that is why I say our tradition is not an ordinary tradition, It is a pity, I say, that this is not made available to our children. They will simply dance. He wrote a book on Sambandha Pariksha. Who wrote? Dharma Kirti wrote. I have translated it in English. You can read it. The name I have given is the philosophy of relations. Now, there I have argued that why he is forced to deny all relations. He is an idealist of this kind who has accepted a reality without an attribute. And when there are no attributes, the question of relation doesn't arise. For relation, at least two things should be there. Even this question has been discussed in Vedanta Sangraha. You can see such a beautiful text. You read, really you read that. That when Brahman is alone, how can Shankara accept any relation? Even Abheda cannot be accepted. For Abheda, so you have to postulate same thing, you have to repeat. At least mentally you have to posit one more. So, Jiva is also Chaitanya and Brahma is also Chaitanya. And then there is Abheda and all the gymnastics of Jahal Lakshana, Jadahaz Lakshana, etc. all this. And then what remains is Chaitanya. So this question has been raised that if there is a Shabdabodha, Shabdabodha should be Samsarga, there should be Samsarga between two Padarthas. But then Samsarga Padartha, so are there two Chaitanyas? So Jeev also Chaitanya, Tat also Chaitanya, Tvam also Chaitanya, and then there is Abheda. So the two Chaitanya, then Abheda. The two Chaitanya and Abheda, no one Chaitanya, no. The one Chaitanya, where the question of relation comes. So I have argued there in the book Sambandha Pariksha, while translating, I have written an introduction, and I said, is the simplest way of describing idealism is this, that if you accept the reality of relation, you are a realist. And if you deny the reality of it, you are an idealist. So denial will place you with Shankara and acceptance will place you with Nyaya or any other realist system who believe the reality of the world. It is as simple as this. So Dharmakirti thoroughly has denied all relations criticized. There cannot be, why he is supposed to do this, that I contemplated, reflected, because he is an idealist of the type of Shankara. Shankara type of an idealist. He has only one reality, that is called Swalakshana, which is ever changing reality. Okay. I hope I will not stretch this this discourse further, but this is what I wanted to achieve, to know that Nyaya Vaisheshika system is a system of utter realism. It's an utter realism. Utter realism means including relation. Relation also is real. So nothing that forms the content of your cognition can be unreal. And anything and everything in this world is a structure, and structure of this kind, dharma and dharmi. So you can talk about, you can know, you can talk about anything right from Paramanu up to Ishvara. Anything that exists you can talk about, because anything according to the system carries a structure of this kind, dharma and dharmi. And therefore through dharma I can always name the dharmin. So language has every scope to operate in realism, because the content of my knowledge, I can know something which is real, I can talk about real, because that I can know, that I can talk about has a structure of dharma dharmi bhava structure. So I hope the Nyaya position is clear to you. Nyaya is a realist position. Nyaya Vaisheshika together I am talking, and all those who will, so under that, so -1 plus many, under that presupposition, all those darshanas you can now try understand, you will understand it in this way very, very easily. This is all the summary that we did yesterday. Now today, for today I wanted to, I had kept something, so now I think I can discuss that, language and reality. So little more about that I will talk. There is a beautiful discourse in Nyayamanjari on this topic, language and reality. The question right from the very beginning therefore has been being asked, if you take a position that reality cannot be talked about. One position now, the idealist will take a position that you cannot talk about a reality. And just opposite is the position of Nyaya. If something is real, it has to be talked about. It can be talked about. You can see. So you cannot talk about reality. If you cannot talk about a reality, then it is not a reality. If you cannot talk about a reality, then it is not a reality at all. This position. So our text is dealing with the second position, that you cannot talk about reality. So the whole world is real, and whole world consists of, right from Paramanu up to Ishvara, because many have come from many. And I can talk about anything of this, because everything is real, everything has an existence. If it has an existence, I can know it. If I cannot know it, you know it, you know it, somebody knows it. If nobody knows it, there is a posited knower called Ishvara who knows it, everything. We all know. But he has to know it. And only when he knows it, then he can talk about it. Even he can talk about it only under that condition. He can create the whole universe. Can he create without knowing? So he has to know the whole creation. Naturally he has to be. So he can create, I cannot create. I am not Sarvagya. So human being cannot create, but a creator, if it is needed, has to be all knowing. So Ishvara is Sarvagya. Ishvara alone is Sarvagya. In Jainism, you will see there is a potentiality of in man to become Sarvagya. Mahavira of Mahavira type, or the Buddha type, Sarvagya. But here it is not, because if he is a Sarvagya, he can create. So Ishvara alone can create. So there is only one Ishvara who can create in Nyaya system, Nyaya Vaisheshik system, and we cannot create because we cannot be Sarvagya. So there are many. So even we cannot, even if you ask the Naiyayikas to explain Shankara's announcement, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, the Mithya says, okay, Anityatva I can understand, but Mithya I cannot understand. Something is Nitya, something is Anitya. Anitya means Dvamsa Pratiyogi. Now the language will start. Language of description you will have to learn. And that is why I have 4 levels, So this is the foundation level to be clear about the position of the system, the whole world, how the Nyaya Vaisheshika system has captured through language. That is the point that I want to underline. On this, naturally Buddhists will not agree, and the Shankara will not agree. Obvious. They will not agree. So in other words, the idealist cannot agree that language can refer to reality. No idealist can accept, Indian idealist, I am talking in the Indian context, because the same terms are being used, the same terms are used by others in a different senses. But in our tradition, we understand this in this way, that in Indian idealism, language cannot express reality. For Shankara, language can express reality only up to Vyavahara level and not at the ultimate level. This is again kept out. Now Buddhists are asking, therefore, I have taken a position. Again I will be reading some portion of Jayanta Bhattas and telling you, you will understand it now. I have given you the ground. Why language cannot operate? What is the ground? The reality does not have a structure of this kind. In idealism, obviously it has no scope. Those who will say that language can express the reality, they must believe that the structure is true. So, dharma also is true, dharmi also is true, and the sambandha between dharma and dharmi also is true. All the three components are true. All the three are true. Right? This is for realists. Realist, Nyaya Vaisheshika, you take Nyaya Vaisheshika. Now here the discourse begins like this. The Purupakshi says, Nahi bahye arthe shabdah pratitim adadhati. Language has no capacity to create an understanding of external world, has no capacity. Now you can see why. Tehi shabdaha durlabha vastu samparka vikalpa matra adhina janamanaha. I cannot read the whole thing, so simply because many of you are not comfortable with Sanskrit. I will summarize it, okay? So only points I am going to tell you. By the way, may I know how many of you do not have background of Sanskrit at all? Sanskrit background, no Sanskrit background, anybody sitting here? There are. So obviously, don't be afraid. I will be the points I will be summarizing, and I will see that this reaches you. So he says that suppose someone uses a sentence of this kind, that look, on the tip of my finger a group of 100 elephants is sitting. Language, you know. It begins, the discourse is begun. Look, esha bandhya suto yati. You look, here is a boy of a barren lady. Is moving on the street. Kapushpakrita shekharaha. He is decorated with akasha kusuma, sky flower. He is all dressed with the sky flower. He has dressed himself. What is that? Esha bandhya suto yati kapushpakrita shekharaha mrigatisnam bhashisnataha. Oh, see, he has taken bath in mirage water. Here goes the boy who has decorated his hair with sky flowers. He has taken bath in mirage water. Shashasringa dhanurdharaha. And he is like a Rama with a bow in his hand, and which is made of rabbit's horn. Shashasringa. So, Shashasringa dhanurdharaha. Esha bandhya suto yati kapushpakrita shekharaha mrigatisna bhashisnataha Shashasringa dhanurdharaha. Okay? You are laughing means you have understood, no? That means language has expressed something. But the opponent is now raising a question. What kind of language and reality? Has the language anything to do with the reality? This sentence you have uttered, which has nothing to do. Can there be barren lady's son? Can there be Shashashringa? Can there be Akasha Kusuma? No. But language is telling you all this. So language has no capacity to refer to reality at all. Angulya Gray, this is the example he has taken. Anguli Agre, Hasti Youth Shatam Aste. A flock of 100 elephants are, just look, sitting here. This is language, no? So how does language refer to reality? You say, if it cannot be expressed by language, then it is not real. And then nothing is expressed by language. So your position is not acceptable. Arambha. So what has happened? Then how this man is creating this padya? Esha bandhya suto. All construction, imagination. So you can imagine anything, need not be outside. There is no need of corresponding what you are talking in language. So what you speak, there need not be any correspondence outside. You can create anything, imagine any fictitious things you can imagine and talk in language. Now for children, you write stories, the unbelievable fictions you do create. Anything imagine. And then you write. Does language express reality outside? No. So my position is, the arguer is asking, this language does not express reality at all. That's all. And then he goes on, is supporting his argument. So many things he has said, but we do not have so much luxury of time. So this is the position. He says that, suppose take a dumb boy who is unable to speak. He cannot create. So you are creating language, creating a scope of operation of language by creating an imagined something, some construction you are making, and that constructed world you are expressing through language. Now poor boy, dumb boy, he does not speak, so he does not create any confusion. So the language creates confusion, and absence of language there is no confusion. So it is not only the case that the language does not tell the fact, it also the case that language creates confusion. Number 2. Another things he says, I am not reading now the originals. Suppose I commit some mistake. I mistake a rope to be a snake, or silver to be, conch shell to be a silver. Okay. But it is corrected afterwards, no? You come and tell me, sir, why are you running? This is only the rope. So corrected. Earlier knowledge was of snake, the correction is made, and now I say it is rope now. So in the case of perception, it is possible. Shabda, there is no scope of correction at all. As many times you will be saying Esha bandhya suto yati, so many times only the same thing will be appearing before you. Angulyagreh, 100 times you say, 1000 times you say the same, repeat the same sentence, the same understanding is going to occur to you without any corresponding outside to the reality. So it is a very peculiar position you are taking, sir, that everything you want to describe in terms of language is a very, very serious fault. We can't understand. Vikalpa, so now I am leaving all this. Shabdaha satakritvopi badhyamanaha tathaiva ucharitaha kara shakha shikhare. You change the word. You are a kavi. So instead of hasta, you say something else. Instead of anguli, you say kara shakha. Kara shakha. So, so kara shakha shikhare. Anything, your name, gymnastics you do, or poetry you create, the result is the same, that it does not refer to the reality at all. So Shabda, there is no other philosopher like Jayanta. Such a sweet language, Sanskrit language he has used for describing philosophical discourse. My God, hats off. And it is unfortunate, that we, after the event of Navya Nyaya, you see, I am a supporter of Navya Nyaya, a teacher of Navya Nyaya, but still I feel that flavor, that which was available with the Prachina Nyaya, particularly Jayanta Bhatta. Of course, the purpose was different, I understand, so this was necessary. It's a beautiful, poetic language for logical discourse, philosophical discourse. He writes like this. He says, Shabdaha shatakritvopi badhyamanaha. Once I uttered, oh, anguli agre, hasti yutha shatam aste, you understood. Sir, where is that? Nothing is there. You are showing, but nothing is seen here. Okay, again I am uttering. Okay, I will replace the word. Karashakha shikhare, karenu shatam aste. Hasti, karenu. No, no difference. Again, I don't see anything. Do you see? Karenu shatam aste. Don't see anything here. So, iti tathaiva tathabhutam bhuyopi vikalpam ayathartham utpadayati eva iti vikalpadhina janmatva. This is the logic. Language is only expression of constructed word. Language expresses only constructions, your mental constructions, unreal, has nothing to do with the reality. Reality is Svalakshana, attributeless, or Brahma, attributeless, which you cannot talk about. So language has no such capacity at all. Shabdanameva idam rupam yat artha asparshitvam nama. Shabdanam eva idam rupam yat artha asparshitvam. Shabdanam eva. This is the nature of, this is the form, this is the nature of language, that it does not touch the reality. It is not capable of touching the reality. Artha is reality. Artha asparshitvam. It has no capacity to touch the reality. This is the Shabda. So language is like that. Language only is capable of expressing that which is constructed, unreal. This is constructed. So dharma is construction. Attributes are all constructed. And only in terms of this I describe this. And therefore language has no capacity. Who will say this? The Buddhist will say, Shankara will also say. So the idealist will hold this position. Okay? This is the situation. And just opposite, diametrically opposite is the situation of the Nyaya school. Only something, if it is real, I can talk about in language. Immediately your question will come that you are talking about so far, so long, Angulia Grey. How does it refer to reality? It doesn't refer to any reality at all. There is no correspondence, the language. And then the Naiyayikas start giving answers. That this is very long discourse. You read it, you enjoy it. I was also sometime thinking of starting something on Prachina Nyaya on this. But what I should do and what I should not do, I do not know. This is the situation. He says, okay, my friend, now one or two arguments against. Now the conclusion I will give you. The Naiyayikas are pointing out, the realists are pointing out now that conveniently you have chosen only this sentence. Is it a case that in language only such sentences are there? In the language, if I say there is a book on the table, is it a language or not? There is a book on the table, there is a notebook on the table. This is a sentence I have uttered. Does it refer to the reality or not? So how do you attribute this to the entire language? The language has no capacity. How do you make this generalized statement, general theory? How do you say that language has no capacity to express the reality? This is general theory. How do you make such a theory? You have to give a case that no sentence in the language is capable of corresponding to reality. Had it been the case, then what you say is correct. Had it been the case that all sentences in the which constitute the language are referring to something which is not verifiable outside. It is not the case. There are sentences which are of the type of Eshabandhya Suto Yati or so Akashikare Karenu Shatam Aste. Such sentences also are there, but there can be also sentences like this. So how do you attribute this generalized theory to language, that language has no capacity to refer? So now the ball is now in your court. Now I give you those sentences which have correspondence to outside correspondence. Now you explain. How are you going to explain? This is how the argument goes. So there is no fault in the language, he says. Conclusion is this: language cannot be held to be faulty. In one case, the Nayayika has said that the language is in a way mooka. I make the language to speak. Language by itself does not speak. I cause it to speak. So the fault should be where? The speaker. So it's a beautiful, I mean, it can be created as a drama, no? A small drama for enactment in the children. Children can, or in the stage. So he says, what is happening? What is the model of communication? There is a reality. Now, again and again you see, We are not talking about make-believe reality. There is a reality given, available, already available reality. A child is born, thereafter whatever he finds, with whatever there is a correspondence in his behavior, all that is real. The realist position now I am presenting. Okay? All this is real. What does he do? When do I speak? How do I speak? What is the role of language? When do I need that language to express? All these are to be taken together. And the conclusion should be like this. Then I speak when I want to share. When I want to share, when I know something. Okay? Know something, that something should exist before my knowledge. So, there is vastu. Before I know, this is real. Even if I do not know it exists. Such is reality, such is the concept of reality. It is not that only after my knowledge the reality emerges. It is already there. Then it becomes jnana vishaya. It is vastu when it is internalized through pramana. So pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, shabda, whatever pramana you accept through that, the vastu becomes the vishaya, vishaya. Vastu becomes vishaya, jnana vishaya. Then jnana emerges where? In the knower. Then he is jnata. And then this jnana he wants to share. So the jnana which he has acquired through the pramanas, through the different, what is pramana? Pramana is the process of knowing. The process through which you know something. That process is called pramana. Don't only keep on repeating the term pramana, 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 pramana. Pramana means nothing more than process of knowing. There may be direct process of knowing or indirect process of knowing. Direct process of knowing is called pratyaksha pramana. That's all. And indirect is the other ones. Anumana, upamana, shabda and all that. That is the indirect way of knowing. Direct way of knowing is pratyaksha pramana. So we have pramana means process of knowing. So through some process of knowing, you know the vastu. Can you know Akasha Kusuma? But you created a poetry. How did you do that? So you created an imagined world, and the knowledge of that imagined world you are expressing in language, no? How do you want me to have a correspondence outside? You have created something in your mind, and that imagined world knowledge you are expressing in language, and you demand a correspondence of that language with the outside world. This is the private world. This is your private world that you have expressed. This is not the public world. Public world is known to everybody. This is a private one, created by you, imagined by you. And therefore, reality is vastu. The reality can be known. When it is known, it becomes vishaya. And then, when I want to share it, then I have a desire that the knower, the receiver of my sentence should also visit this same vastu. same word. And so I transform this into a sentence. So if this knowledge, no, so then I become a speaker. Then I am a speaker. Jnata now is transformed into Vakta. So Jnata becomes Vakta when he transforms this jnana into a sentence. So the jnana, who has this jnana? He has this jnana. Who is the speaker? He is the speaker. So if the sentence does not correspond to reality, where is the fault? In the Vakta. So it may be that by mistake he has some knowledge, or by imagination he has created some knowledge, and that knowledge is putting into a sentence, and therefore it does not correspond to reality. So it is Vaktri dosha and not Shabda dosha. This is not the fault of the language, but the fault of the speaker of the language. So that portion I will read. I think in my lecture I had referred to it. Purusho hi, you just see. Swadarshanam, Swagyanam, Swadarshanam, Shabdena, Paresham, Prakashayati. Tatra, Taddarshanam chet dushtam. If the jnana is dushta, naturally the jnana has been put in the envelope of language, the language has become dushta. Tad jnana, so tatra tad darshanam chet dushtam, darshana is jnana. If that is the fault is with this jnana, the language will be faulty. Adushtam, tad darshanam chet dushtam, dushtaha shabda pratyaya. And adushtam chet, if it is adushta, if the jnana is adushta, correct. Because if it has the vishaya which is a vastu, then this is a correct jnana. It is not imagined, it is not constructed. I know horn, I know shasha, oh create shasha sringa. I know bandhya, I know sutta, so connect janya janaka bhava sambandha. Okay? So this relationship, who has created this relationship? Janya janaka bhava. Is it in the category of vastu? No. This is your creation. So this is faulty. So if this is faulty, language will be faulty. If this is correct, language will be correct, and it will certainly refer to the reality. So language alone can refer to the reality, because language cannot operate unless there is a vastu, and unless there is a vastu vishayaka jnana, and hence don't show only that this Angulya grey. There are other sentences. Had it not been the case, our Loka Yatra would have been impossible. We would not have been able to communicate right from the moment when we get up from the bed till we go to the bed. Had it not been the case that language refers to the reality, how is it possible to explain the Loka Yatra, the entire behavior of this world, consistency in our behavior with language? So language, of course, I don't deny that there are sentences which have no correspondence with the outside world, but the sentences have been uttered by whom? Uttered by the writer, uttered by the speaker, and when he has some knowledge, that knowledge may be wrong. Sometimes somebody has not seen a city and describing the city. Now how can that language is going to correspond to the reality of the city? So even Jayanta has said even that, then when there is completely jnana bhava, and in spite of, so not only that you simply always you imagine, so there may be an error, There may be a case that you have no knowledge at all and still you are speaking, and therefore jnana purvakaha shabda vyaparaha, and that jnana has to be yathartha jnana. So if yathartha jnana purvakaha shabda vyaparaha, that shabda, that language will definitely refer to reality, and if it is not, then certainly it is not going to. If I say the circle is a square, now this in Western philosophy you call them empty sentences, for example. These sentences are called empty sentences. So empty sentences mean they do not have correspondence outside. These are all creation by you, no? It is not the fact that circle is a square. So this is all that I wanted to say, that relationship between language and reality. So the idealist position is this. Why they are saying that language cannot speak the truth or the reality is this position, that if you stick a position of a reality, that reality is attributeless, then certainly language has no scope of operation. But if you accept that all the reality is only the structured reality, then the entire structure can be expressed through language. So it is the part of the reality. So all depends on your concept of reality. And the reality concept we have seen is to be seen in terms, is to be weighed in terms of the presuppositions that with which the philosophers build their own philosophical systems. So to conclude, Nyaya Vaisheshika is an utter realist system. The entire world is real. And unless something is real, it cannot be jnana vishaya, it cannot be known. If it cannot be known, it cannot be expressed by language. Then, but then what you can do? If you express, then that language, you don't demand that there should be a correspondence outside reality. So it is your mischief that you have, that is making language faulty, and language itself is neither faulty and nor this thing. It is all, it is a mooka, beautifully said. So Shabda is mooka. We ask him to speak. So therefore the speaker is at fault. So it is Bhaktri dosha and not the dosha of the Shabda dosha. So we are preparing ourselves for reading the text. One more. Vikalpa is construction, imagination. And you will see that therefore the Vikalpa Jnana, the Buddhists will say this is a Samanya Vishayaka, Samanya Lakshana Vishayaka Jnana, and it is all false, because that has involved this structure, So is something you can, so Savikalpaka Jnana alone can be verbalized. Nirvikalpaka you cannot verbalize. Means where there is no such a structure available, you cannot verbalize at all. These things will be coming in the text. So what conclusion do you want to draw from this? So try to understand both then. Therefore the whole becomes imagined.
But the Anguli is true and the elephant is also true.
Correct.
So you cannot imagine which is totally untrue.
True, but that is, nevertheless the result is imagination.
So if you are even in the imagination, there is an element of reality.
No fictitious imagination can be done without vastu. These are the elements for imagination. But what is imagination is a product. That product is an imagined product. And that you are expressing in language. Therefore you do not demand correspondence outside. No imagination is possible without the given reality. Howsoever fictitious it may be. Jadoo nahi chalega. Srishti, I told you yesterday, sir, that he cannot create from nothing. He is not a magician. Of course, without that, how can he do? I will try to, we will try to start the text from tomorrow. A little more I will speak on preparing ourselves in the afternoon. And from tomorrow, we will be reading the text. We will go to the text. So, afternoon I have some topic. You have already have a topic, afternoon topic. We will be still coming closer, we are going closer to the text. Unless you do this, you cannot communicate. It's a communication, I am communicating with you, I want to communicate, hope I am communicating. So if I am communicating, then I have undertaken a lot of labor in doing that. I have prepared myself in a position and also trying to prepare you to a position where we can communicate. And that is the reason that since yesterday I am doing all this. And ultimately we will be reading the text. That's all.